And here we are live. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm not sure where Joanna is, but she was supposed to come. So if she comes, we'll let her in. But I'm pleased today to have Katie Moonchild. Thank you. And Adrian from Lentil, who I adore as well. Two nice ladies and two film students, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Two film students, and I have a master's in English literature and film. And so I'm just excited to have people that know a lot about film that a lot of other people don't, maybe, you know?
My undergrad and my BFA are both in film.
Both in
My
film.
undergrad and my first master's, in essence, were in film.
Oh, okay.
My MFA is in creative writing for entertainment.
See?
Right.
I
Right.
write the scripts, and to learn to do that, I had to learn how to critique a film.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to start with something that was pretty much in everybody's life, I think. I think probably there aren't very many people on here that haven't seen The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everybody. I don't want to ignore you. Hi in the chat. Thank you so much for being here with
Hi,
us
everybody.
today.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. So this is one of our first foray into film, and I'm hoping we'll be able to do more of it with other films. But yeah, everybody probably at least saw this maybe when they were a kid, although it probably scared them. Did the witch scare you guys when you were a kid?
Mm-mm.
The monkeys.
This is the flying monkeys. Okay.
It was the whole being swept up
In the tornado.
and the tornado.
The Terranada. Yes, absolutely.
Scary.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was looking into doing this, most of us can find some of the spiritual stuff and the symbolic stuff. And I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be more fun to look into some of the existential stuff, which is actually existentialism came along more in the 40s, and this was filmed in the 30s. But one of the things that, as an analyst of film or literature or whatever, is the ability for you to look at something that didn't even, quote, exist at a time and be able to talk about it with something that was done before it, quote, existed, right?
Yes.
So I thought this might be a good one to start with. And I welcome, and I know that you've done some stuff, KD, on Tarot Love Community.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how, I haven't been able to watch it because I've just been really busy, but I'm guessing it's mostly discussion of the story, or are you also pulling out stuff?
We're pulling messages.
You are pulling messages.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. When we talked about Doctor Strange.
Oh, Dr. Strangelove?
That's like one massive existential movie.
It is.
And
yes, it is.
We're going to be talking about The Abyss.
Okay.
This coming Friday.
Coming week? Okay, I'll have to watch. Yeah, I'll have to watch. I had taken a class most recently, let's say in like 2011, 2012, something like that. And I was sucked into this, the Criterion Collection series. I don't know if any of you have you looked at that at all, or you know what I'm talking about?
But I've heard about it.
Okay. And it's supposed to be the best films that were ever made. But I think that's still fairly
subjective.
Yeah, that's his opinion.
Yeah. But they were the ones, and I believe Doctor Strange, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb. Was that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the Marvel movie, Doctor.
Oh, the Marvel movie
with Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch. Okay. No, okay. I'd like to watch that first and then listen to what you guys have to say. I think that would be awesome. But there was a crazy movie in the 60s called Dr. Strangelove and How I Learned to Love the Bomb.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So some of the Criterion Collection, you've got Hong Kong in there. You've got some Japanese Kurosawa. Kurosawa, thank you. Kurosawa. Yes, I got him backwards. Some of his stuff, we got some stuff by Ingrid Bergman, and the one that sticks out the most is the one where the guy is Death, I believe, and it's a very old movie. And this guy is The Seventh Seal. Is that it? Have you heard of that one, The Seventh Seal?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Years ago.
Yeah, isn't that like a silent film?
It is fairly silent, yes. But
Like the film Metropolis.
right.
I have a
Absolutely.
question. Let me guess. Is D.W. Griffith in that list?
Yes, absolutely.
Of course they would. Whatever.
Yeah. You mean for the slave, basically the
Well,
slave
there's
movie.
two. There's
Yeah, okay.
Birth of a Nation, and then his
Right.
response to Birth of a Nation.
Okay, I didn't see the second one, and I didn't really watch much of the first one. But it does tell zeitgeist. It tells what was going on in that time period. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, slavery aside, and blackface
Right.
and all the horribleness, those were just comparatively to some of the other films that came out. Those were not that great of films, and I'm
That's
like,
true. That's true.
No.
like the jump. There's too many jump cuts, and just the staging and the action was so hokey, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who did he know to be able to have this continuously?
Right.
And I think it's continuously because it was rated so high back in the day that I'm just like, we're still going there. We're still giving this man credit. This
I
was
know.
trash
I know.
films.
Yeah.
hmm One of the other ones, though, that I remember hearing that the most popular film and the best film, number one film of all time, was Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched it the first time, I wasn't impressed at all. And
Yeah.
now knowing
I
how
actually
they
fell asleep the first time.
did
I
you,
watched
that's not unusual. Yes, that's
My
not
film
unusual.
school boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
That was his favorite movie. And when
Was it?
like every time I'm like,
Rosebud,
Yeah.
Rosebud. But I actually, in any class
There we
that
go. Rosebud. What?
Yeah. any class that I ever teach that we're looking at visual rhetoric, I have them watch the opening scene of Citizen Kane, where we have the three the way they're juxtaposed on the screen, and how outside is the child, and then there's these three people arguing over and who's going to win the argument just by the way they're placed on the screen, and then learning that they cut a hole in the floor in order for the camera to be lower and look up at Kane. So there was some really, really great parts of it that I just didn't appreciate because I didn't understand it at the time.
but also too, criteria for a good film shouldn't always be how it's made, because to me it is a
Great.
cinematic arc. It is, did you hit the plot points?
Right.
Like
There's so much more than the technicality.
exactly.
Right. Absolutely. And
Like,
but
the
did
number
you?
one thing that was hounded at me
Mhm.
Is your script believable? The only genre where you have to not pay attention to that is animation. So it's my
Oh.
favorite, but
Okay.
because you can let your mind go. But
Sure.
all of them,
Mhm.
people watching them are going to say this film is a bunch of BS because I can't believe it from the beginning.
My
Sure.
film teacher always said, Sheldon Schiffer was my mentor, one of my film teachers in both undergrad and grad. And Sheldon was like, you can always give back. And this, I'm about to age myself. You can always give somebody $11.50 back. This is
that's cheap.
Bucks.
I can always get my 50 cents back.
I was going to say, I remember when it was $1.50 for the matinee.
Like, you can give them the $11.50 back. You can
For
never
four of
give
us.
them that time.
Yeah.
That hour
Yeah,
and a
that's
half,
right.
2 hours. You
That's
can't
right.
give them that time. It
Yeah.
has to be worth it. And to
Yeah.
me, it's
Sure.
visual effects only get you so far. What's the story?
So here's a question then. I had heard that all scripts are dumbed down to a fourth grade audience because people don't get stuff. And they also focus in on, like, say this is important. I'm thinking of the Maltese Falcon right now, right? You have to see that and see that and see that because people are so stupid they wouldn't be able to understand that. Did you get that as well in your training that you had? Did you hear that? That at fourth grade?
Not really.
No.
No,
Okay.
not really.
Okay. Well, I kind of thought it was because I'll tell you why, and this is crazy. I went to see Vanilla Sky, not the one that was in Spanish, but the one with Tom Cruise and whatever. And I really loved the movie. I really did. I thought it was great. But when the curtain came up and the lights came on, and people are walking out. My daughter and I looked at each other and were like, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody walking out went, I don't know. What was that about? Yeah.
That's the best kind of movie.
Well, it is if you know what it's about, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, this was not one of those movies that's going to haunt you for a week.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I judge a good movie, is if it makes me think about it.
Sure.
Days down the road, it'll pop in my head and I'll go, oh, that's what that scene meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even years later when you watch it. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you watch it in like The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How many times have you
pick up
seen it in your
something-
lifetime?
Right.
Pick up something
Yes.
different every time.
Something
you
different
watch
every
it.
time. Yes.
Yeah, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah. I really loved The House of Sand and Fog, and I use that in my class sometimes because I've watched that numerous times, and every time I do, I see something different. So, what's his name is in that? I love him. He's, I think he's Egyptian, but I can't think of his name right now. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Omar Sharif.
No, it's not him.
It's not him. I can't think of his name either. And I can see his face.
Yeah, I can see his face too. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. I hate that when that happens, but it's a good movie. I thought it was a really good movie as far as, I don't know, the filming was really good. I thought it really was. And there were some key scenes in there that blew my mind. And that's always a good sign. So yes, and we all like different things, but it's so nice to be able to, extrapolate.
I'm thinking about your question about dumbing it down for fourth grade mentality. There's several different kinds of scripts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So possibly they could have been talking about the concept script. Because that has to be dumbed down quick. You got to tell in 2 sentences what the whole story
Your
is
whole
about.
treatment. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a book when you're trying to do a book. Yeah. You have to tell
And people don't realize that camera has a script, makeup has a script.
Sure.
Every single thing you're seeing is a separate script, and it all comes out of that concept script.
Yeah.
Okay.
So script, and then you get into TV where you've got to break it down and plan for commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well,
they said when I was looking up information on when they did The Wizard of Oz, of course it was 1939. They had a sepia beginning, not a black and white. It was sepia color, and then it went into color. And they also said that there's just a lot of things that they had to change around. One of the things they said was the costumes for the Munchkins. They had to take a picture of them with the way that they looked so that when they came back, they could look exactly the same, which makes sense. Yeah. I guess they do that probably on all films, don't they?
I think they kind of do that now.
Yeah.
As somebody who's had to be a script super, which is basically your entire job is continuity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for that eyelash out of place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here it is. Thank you, Vivian.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Kingsley.
That's
Ben
Kingsley. Yes.
Kingsley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
That is not the name I was going to give Ben. I was going to give him something else, but I'm glad she looked.
Yeah. He's been in a couple of really good movies. So
he's a
very good actor. Yeah.
His Gandhi was.
Oh, that's what he started out sort of. Yes.
Yeah.
It was very good. Yeah. Well, he does a great job in this other one. It's an older movie. Wasn't just put out, I think, in the 90s. But I'll always say to my students, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" No. And then I realized it came out in 1989. And of course, they probably hadn't been, been interested in it.
Their parents hadn't even met yet.
Yeah, my kids watched everything and we listened to different music of different times. And, we listened to 40s music, and they knew what 40s music, 50s music, they knew it all. So I just tend to think people think the same way I do, which isn't true.
My mama's favorite singer was Nat King Cole.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
So, and my daddy's favorite singer was Rosemary Clooney. And
there you go.
Piano lessons and voice lessons, because that's what he wanted me to be.
I call her the Kleenex lady, because remember they put the Kleenex on the,
And I tell people that now, and they're like, "Who's Rosemary Clooney?"
Who's that?
I was like, "Okay, I'll be 64 in February."
Yeah. So what? Yeah, well, let's get into Wizard of Oz. Yes, Scarecrow wanted a brain, swords. Tin Man wanted heart cups. Lion wanted courage wands. Dorothy wanted to go home pentacles. That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of ways we could look at this movie. A lot of ways. So as far as existentialism is, and existentialism became more popular with Sartre and with Viktor Frankl, and there's a few other philosophers. But when Baum wrote this, he wrote this in like the end of the 19th century.
1890s, yeah.
1890s. And then, of course, they didn't film this until, well, I guess there was an earlier one. There was a 1925 edition. And then they did the 1939 one, which they did a lot. And in the book, Dorothy has silver slippers.
Yes.
I found out why.
Okay.
During that time,
Silver wasn't the price of silver was more expensive?
They were trying to have a gold standard and a silver standard.
They did.
Because the silver standard was more affordable for farmers and collar workers. That's why it has the gray stripes on the yellow brick golden road.
Right, the gold standard. Yes, yes, exactly.
Gold and silver is all through that movie.
It is.
It is. And actually the Scarecrow, it said the Scarecrow represented the farmers.
Yep.
And the Tin Man, the labor. And the Cowardly Lion, William Jennings Bryan. And he was a politician that
I thought it was politics. Yeah.
Yeah. He was the great commoner he attacked the gold standard. Yeah, he did. Yeah. But the other side of it is, I've also saw that the Cowardly Lion represents our inner child. So, I mean, this is the way you can go with these things. You know, there are some things that sort of fit the mold and other things. But Baum didn't know anything about existentialism, not in the year he wrote this. But do we need to know to know?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was maybe a term, but because you can't call this at this point coincidence, right?
Correct.
So he knew and he was on to something.
Yeah.
His wife was in the Theosophical Society.
Okay.
So he wasn't totally new.
Totally unaware. Okay.
I did research this. That's all I've done all morning.
No, I did too, and I found out some really great things. And the other thing I found out was that the Emerald City represented District of Columbia, and
it also represents Ireland.
Oh, you got that one?
Ireland.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was supposed to be DC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
because I live in Seattle, which is
the great American fairy tale. This was the great American story.
It was. But see, Seattle is the Emerald City. I think that's just. Yeah, I think that's interesting too. The wizard was supposed to be the president, but I have other feelings about that. I don't know, because of his hidden machinations behind the curtain. I'm feeling like that's not really the president. That's more of the control. Maybe it's even more of like the Senate or the. What'd you think, Katie?
I'm thinking the workings behind.
Yeah.
Things behind the scenes.
I think things.
No. I'm thinking like the secret people who work the president.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking.
Donors.
What I was thinking. Freemasons. I was going to do a whole bunch of caveats, like don't come for my throat, don't hate mail me, and don't take down Allie's channel. But I thought it was Freemasons, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
And that's okay.
I was raised in the Masonic Lodge, so I see. It's really weird seeing it now as a person who's awakened.
Yeah,
right.
Symbols and stuff that are in the Freemasons. I have my dad's books and stuff. If I want to look up, what do you want to know? Let's look it up. I didn't swear no secret.
During that time, too, there was a big push for more underground recruitment, is the best way I can put it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that there was a huge, the surge ended up right around, here's how I did the math in my head. There's a big implosion around 41, 42, which means the recruitment would have started 37, 38, 39.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Quote me on that.
No, it makes sense because that's also right about the time of the rise of the Ku Klux Klan
So
and
much.
Jim Crow.
Is that who the flying monkeys were?
You know what? The flying monkeys are my mascot now because
Are
I
they?
always tell people try to pull me into their drama, and I'm
Okay.
like, not my circus, not my
Right.
monkeys.
Did you
My
think
monkeys
the
fly?
you're equating the flying circus, flying monkeys, and thinking that's a metaphor for the KKK?
I just asked the question. Do you think it did? It was. I don't know. I'm sorry. I made a big noise. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's a
I thought it was more of the fears and the walking blindly into something and how much
Okay.
chaos that
What's
came.
coming from here that you cannot see.
That
That's why they
underground,
scared me so bad. Was
that
because it
underground
came out of the
fear.
sky.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
we jump, how society will jump in and onto something without. There's always this threat. This also goes back to George Gerbner had a theory, and this theory comes out around 1955, give or take. He started studying before the 50s, which would have put us around in the same time frame too. That he calls it the mean world syndrome, where children are afraid of things because they're told to be afraid of it from what they watch on TV. So you also have, if you equate that now we're afraid of this threat that's not real.
Yeah.
Flying monkeys are not real, but yet they were so, that caused such a fear to all of them in that movie.
Yeah.
And so all of the characters. And so I kind of equated it to those lines too, of this fear of something that's not real, that is so abject, so visceral.
Yep. So one of the other components of existentialism includes our choice that we can make or not make, responsibility, and finitude. And it says no special study of this theory is needed to recognize the aspects of the human condition. So the three companions, we already talked about, of putting it in tarot words, but the three companions all had something that they believed they weren't perfect.
Yeah.
I don't have a heart, I don't have a brain, and yet they demonstrated those things throughout the film.
That those were actually their strengths.
Were their strengths, right? But one of the things was that humans find themselves frequently in a world not of our own choosing, but in a world we're confronted by choices and we're responsible for who we are. And so, and that's what happened to Dorothy. She was in the cyclone, her life got all jumbled up, and then she landed, and she ended up accidentally killing the Witch of the East. And she's in deep shit because she's killed this woman, and through no fault of her own, which reminds me a lot of at least it seems this way, the Alec Baldwin, through no fault of his own, but part of this also is that we look at the human condition, and so many people want to conform. Because if we can, everybody will make fun of us if we don't conform.
Easier to conform.
That's right. Not be authentic. So you have to put a mask on. You have to conform, or else you're ostracized.
Yeah.
And so those men definitely, and even the wizard, the big man, there was some other way that he was named. What was it? It was really the God figure in organized religion.
I was gonna say, do you mind if I ask you all a question?
Absolutely.
And ask everybody in the chat, who was the wizard to you? What did he represent to you?
For me, he's the magician.
Yeah.
Because he's pointing to the sky and to the earth at the same time. He's the man in the middle pulling all those levers and behind the curtain.
But remember, he also was the guy he was the magic man. Wasn't he the magician in Kansas?
He was in the state fair. And that ties into the balloon that takes her home.
Yeah.
That's right. Although the balloon goes away and she isn't in it, right?
Right.
So
But yes, it goes away. You see,
she
it's
was
just-
depending on the
it's there.
physical world, right? The physical and not the spiritual world. So let's see, what does he represent?
Good one.
Anybody want to tell us what you think
Yeah,
the wizard represents for you? Because I think all of us may have something different, actually. I just thought of him as a fraud. That's, I mean, I because he's being this really mean jerk, and he has all the power to help her.
Yeah.
And she's a little girl. Why
But
is he?
he has to be that way for her to see inside herself and stop reaching for help out here.
Out here? Okay.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
I have a tendency to look at people who throw crap at me like that, that way. It's like,
Right.
what is them coming into my life like this trying to teach me?
Mm-hmm.
And what about my choice brought them in?
Right. So we got three. Here's a snake oil salesman.
Yes.
Yep.
Sherry says he represented lies, and on a banana, the government, the one pulling the strings behind the scene. Yeah, these are great.
These are really good.
Yeah, they are good.
Mm-hmm. And
How
that
about you,
makes a
Adrian?
good script because you can. It gives you so much creative runway to.
True.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
My answer is all of the above. It
All
depends
of the
on
above.
the mood
Who you are.
and my mind frame when I go to watch it. Because like right now where I am in my mood, I would say, is he reminds me very much of some of these people on YouTube who claim to be healers and prophets.
Oh yes.
And who are grimy, dirty, and will, come book all these sessions with me. You've got a curse. And it's like, no, they don't.
Yes. Send me money and I'll fix
I
everything.
can do everything for you, but really, I'm just this little peon behind the curtain who's really, really scared of the sound of my own voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it just all depends.
And he only owned up because he was busted.
Exactly.
He wasn't. Yeah.
Which is.
Oh,
go ahead, Kate.
No, I was going to say I have a question because of how he got busted. What was the point of Toto the dog?
Pulling the curtain back, you mean?
No, just through the whole story
just in general.
of that dog.
He was the only thing that was loyal to Dorothy.
He was her guide.
He was
He
the
was
only
her spirit guide.
Yeah.
That never, no matter what, never left her. And the times
Always
that he did leave
pointed her in the right direction.
he pointed her to things, but it would immediately would go right back to her, and it would go through the path with her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So true.
Yep.
So
the way the hero's arc is Toto.
Yeah.
He is technically the hero, not Dorothy.
Right.
Yep. So Aspie saw the wizard as the Kool-Aid, the soma, the delusion of prosperity, power, and normalcy. And so if you're looking at this through a governmental or an economic way too, this also had to do with the populist movement.
Yeah.
And that was it. And they were actually the liberals of the day. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's see. So here's something you should know about existentialism. It is the theory of our lived experience.
Ooh, Andrea.
I know, it was very interesting, Andrea. We'll come back to that.
That's a fascinating concept.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Allie, go ahead.
Yeah, go into that's okay. Interrupt her.
So yes, it also proves we experience it outside of our understanding of it. And that's what I wanted to make a point of, because if Baum wrote it and he wasn't in the theosophy, with his wife, and, it was just an innocent story, but are there really any innocent stories? We can that's the beauty of taking something and unraveling it in different ways.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's see what she said. The wizard is this from The Wiz or Wicked, the musical? Okay. The Munchkin and the Green Witch was caught between the worlds not being. Oh yes,
it's an interesting kind. And then she came back and said, hold on, not a Munchkin, but a citizen of Oz.
Okay.
So the wizard had consummated a child with the Green Witch.
Aha. All right. That would be interesting. I like that. It's from Wicked the musical, I guess. Okay. It is an interesting concept.
That's interesting.
I was fascinated through the movie of the representation of color.
Yes.
There you go, Adrian. It's just like you and I are really into that color and chakras, and you know why Glenda's dress was pink.
Mm-hmm.
It represented red, the blood of red,
the poppies
spent.
Also going home in root chakra.
Yes, and it
Family
also
and tribalism.
is a combination of the white, of the purity of what she supposedly represented.
Right. Yeah.
There's a theory out there that she was really the evil witch.
Because I read that theory too, and that the Green Witch was the Wicked Witch of the East was actually the good one.
She was the one who was teaching her all the lessons all along.
Not so much that too, but it was more of it was the transparent. The whole theory went to like transparency of what she never, because even the good witch only said so much, only did so much, and she hid behind the guise of the white and the pure.
Right.
But the Green Witch, she shows you who she was from the beginning, and really all she was trying to do was just take care of hers and her own. And they're talking about how people who just all they try to do how the society casts people who are trying to take care of themselves as evil. It's like no, she's just not here for the SHIT versus it was
not a drama queen.
Yep.
How they portrayed Glenda. It was just like I'm not 100% sold. However, if this was a court of law, you've given me enough probable doubts.
Right. Yeah. So yes, her anger, Andrea says her anger made the Green Witch evil, or maybe she was jealous because she was green.
There's another theory too. Hang with me on this one.
Okay.
She was painted green, which makes her now a minority, a color.
True.
And her being seen as a minority and evil, and how that is portrayed in society against blacks or whomever.
Right.
In the 30s. Also, too, what I loved about this other theory that she was actually the good one and Glenda was the evil one goes back to the race theory again, where that rhetoric in the day, which is white was pure, white was good, white people were here to save, and then she's green and now she's evil. And then when she really was just trying to take care of her and her family.
Right.
That's how a lot of, especially Black women, were portrayed as evil when really they were just like Emmett Till's mom in the 50s. She was just trying to take care of her son. So there's a lot of arts that go through this that people have gone back and dug through. You're like,
but you can really get into it with Glenda because not only is she the stereotypical privileged white, she's blonde
with blue eyes.
Exactly. And portrayed as the answer to it all.
It's heavy. When you
straighten your freaking hair, bleach your skin, and put in contacts.
And think about how her body was portrayed with that big bodice of flowing dress. She had the hourglass shape.
That's what I say. The white part of the purity is a race thing.
Right.
With her.
Wow.
In her dress.
Yep.
Here we go. Dorothy was on the yellow brick road to find her purpose versus the concept of nihilism.
That's it. That's
heavy.
Very good. Very good, Marie. Yeah. So I found this and I thought this was an interesting, all of these are, but Dorothy was a child who was thrown into a world not of her own choosing with the cyclone, killing the witch of the East accidentally. But remember, she looks like Miss Gulch as well. And must choose almost immediately to leave on her path, which one she doesn't know. She has to make up her mind almost immediately after they sing songs and the Munchkins move her along. And there are no signposts, just like life. We don't know if we're taking the right path or not, because it's a coin toss. And then meets the witch and the minions, the monkeys, who are evil. And then she has the three companions. All have perceived deficiencies, but they are only perceived. And that's what we do to ourselves. Oh, well, I could do that, but I'm not that smart. Or I don't know, I don't know how to do that. And they're guilty of bad faith because they believe in the deficiencies and they look to the external sources, not internal sources. And I wrote fixed mindset, which is a brand new thing that's out there right now between growth and fixed mindset. Another concept that was not known before. All three really aren't deficient at all. And Dorothy always has the power as well, but we don't know that until the end. So we all spiritually have the power to change the external things in our lives. And to not beat ourselves up so much for any perceived deficiencies, because that's all they are, is our perception.
And if they're not, they're there. If they're in one of my readings this last week, I had a conversation about failure. It's there's no such thing.
No such thing as failure. Right. Yeah.
So if you're scared of failure, you're afraid of learning.
Yeah. And yet, when you think about Dorothy, she was like the fool, wasn't she? She's she's got a little dog down there, and she's standing up on this precipice, and she doesn't know where she's going.
Yeah.
Take that leap. I watched a video earlier today that had the concept that all of her companions are all concepts of her.
Yes, I've heard that. I've seen that theory too.
All parts of her.
And that they didn't
and
truly
it's all
exist.
about her choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was an hour and a half long talk at a yoga institute.
Really? Okay. I'll have to watch
I'll give you guys the link. It was a really awesome video.
That's great.
And it went so fast. I was shot and putting my makeup and stuff on, and it's like, okay, it's over.
Right.
I want more.
I know. Because there is so much more that can still be talked about, no matter how long we talk.
Right.
Yeah. I even came across one that even talked about Jewish letters in the Kabbalah tree of life. And in this movie, there is so much because of the three realms or three reels. Of course, you have to do that. That's part of a script. It's 3 acts.
Right.
So you have at the beginning where the little dog bites the old lady, and she shouldn't have been in that darn garden in the first place.
That's right. That's right.
So there's the choice that started the whole thing. Her deciding to take that shortcut through the garden.
Yep. And she just, and poor Auntie M, she doesn't feel too empowered, but she does tell her that she doesn't like her or whatever. And that was awesome, because that woman wouldn't have done that either.
That they brought up that I hadn't noticed in the movie as many times as I've watched. All the other characters from the black and white sequences have doppelgangers in the color.
That's right.
They have
Except one.
Oh, really?
Annie M.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's not in the color part.
She's not in the color at all.
Okay.
Nope.
Wow.
And where is Dorothy's parents? Why is she with her aunt and uncle?
There's literally 100 conspiracy theories about it.
And we could get into the toxic substances that they used in the costuming and the makeup and the. How did those people survive that movie?
Was allergic to the gray paint, and
that was Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah,
he was very allergic to the dye and
aluminum in the silver paint.
I know,
for the Tin Man, and the lion suit was real. It was a real lion skin.
Oh, it was?
That's disgusting. And he's dancing and sweating and all that. Yuck. So sorry.
I know. Well, and my first, when I thought about the poppies, don't they make heroin out of poppies?
Oh yeah, the poppy fields. Oh,
Yeah.
and the snow in the poppy fields. That was, guess what that was? Asbestos.
Mm-hmm.
How did those people survive?
Wait if we decide to do the Russian one, how they made that set. What is that one? Dr. Zhivago. Wait till we get to that. Yeah.
What a beautiful movie. The set, the ice.
Oh yeah.
Set.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I could think of when I was a little girl was watching that movie was I never could live in Russia. It's too cold.
I know it's too cold. Yeah. If you only knew.
Gorgeous men, but it's too cold.
I thought about that too when I watched Nanook of the North. I was like, "Ooh."
I know.
And then I moved to Crater Lake, Oregon, where you get 18 feet of snow in the winter. So I got my taste of a lot of cold. No offense, I live in Arizona now.
Yeah. So some other strategy about the yellow brick road also made sense. I realized it was the gold standard. I realized that, there was a purpose for that. But somebody said it was a strategy to get you to a goal by different action steps. And I think of that Asian, the journey of 1,000 steps begins with one step or something like that. But that was the way that it was to get to the goal that you went to. And the ruby slippers, which in the movie is ruby, but in the silver in the book, and I'll tell you what, that's an interesting thing too, is the little guy's ability to triumph over evil is the red slippers. But they said that the whites or the silver slippers actually represented the cord between the physical and the spiritual. And silver cord in the book connects the spiritual and the physical worlds. So this is a deeply spiritual story.
The fact that, and I was reading, it may be from the same people who did your yoga name, the fact that red, going back to root chakra, she had the ruby shoes, which were red, on her feet, which is the base chakra. Your root chakra connects you to grounding to Mama Earth.
Right.
And she wore them the entire time trying to get back home, which connects you back to the root chakra.
Right. Yes. So she was well grounded.
Always there to begin with. That's why, and then she was so grounded. That's why she was able to attract the new friends. That's why she was able to have those quote superpowers, if you will, because she stayed grounded the entire time, close to home.
Spirit just whispered in my ear the reason why all these symbols are like they are in this movie was because people were asleep. They thought they had this war, and that's all they could focus on was this war, and they were asleep.
Well, aren't they
so
still?
That's why the universe gave him this. That's why the universe had this movie made with so much. Not just the esoteric, so much symbolism for so many people.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was intended to be that way. People needed hope.
Yep. I never forgot because I never had a color TV. So when I watched it the first time, my neighbor invited me over just to watch it because she had a color TV. And the minute that she got to Oz and everything was colorful, blew my mind because, I'm just used to this little black and white television set. But there's something so important about that as well. It reminds me that, in our dream state, many of us can dream in color. It reminds us that the world is very colorful if we have the eyes to see it. And it's not bland. It's and at the time in 1939, I know that there was nobody with a color TV at that time. So this had to be a movie that they watched. But I mean, there's just so many little things in here that are so deeply meaningful. So yeah. Awesome. So Andrea, the good witch's only power was illusion, same as wizard.
Yep.
illusion of 45 coming down the golden elevator. I love that. I love that.
That's good. I like that with his good witch.
Yep. Right. Yep. Definitely. If only he was. Yep.
I was thinking about the woman on his arm.
I know. Yeah. Definitely. So is there anything we haven't covered? Is there anything?
I mean, it would spawn us into another 4-hour discussion, so I'll keep it to myself.
No. Just give us a taste of it.
It's so interesting because we're talking about all this depth and the symbolism in the script and in this movie. And really at the time this movie was made was, you know, the time of the big studio, the RKOs and whatnot that had 100% creative control over everything, to the point where the director, pretty much anybody could have been a director because they had no creative freedom. They were just action, stop. That's it. The studio heads controlled everything. So when you think of it on that aspect, was it really that deep? Are we making it that deep? Because they had no control. There was no creative control back then.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Well, they didn't know the concepts either that we're talking about. So
they didn't. Those guys are in the cesspool of greed and money. They're not going to see necessarily those things that are subliminally written into stuff.
But think about the subliminal writing, though. You still have to have somebody execute against them.
Yeah.
You can't just, okay, it's a red shoe. Okay, well, I could have gotten a particular red shoe. There had to have been somebody who needed to think through that. I'll never forget, in film school, because we're talking about the whole big studio concept at the time, because you get to 45 and around 1945 on, directors had a little bit more creative freedom where you get to the 90s and whatever. And so I wrote that the director actually had more creative control than they thought. And I'll never forget and I don't remember the exact reasons why, but I was like, I'm going to go against the grain and say he did. The worst that happens is like, I failed the paper, whatever. And the was like, no, you're completely wrong, but I like your effort, so I'll give you a B anyway. And I was like, damn it, no, just hear me out. And it's the point I'm making is all of the things we talked about. You had to have someone who sees the vision, who can say, no, I think we want to hold here, do this take here. No, let's infuse this color here. Because the nuances that are just not going to be able to be captured when you have somebody who goes, I'm just going to follow whatever direction my boss tells me to do.
Right.
My question is when she went back home, it wasn't color. It went back to the black and white world she didn't like. Right. Even though she had this new knowledge. And that has always thrown me. Because I've always thought that it should have been at some kind of bringing more color in, like the grays, but bring in a red.
But think about this, though. People who are enlightened, once we go on this journey and we see the colors and nuances, we still have to live in this 3D
live in the black and white world.
In the black and white world. So I think it's actually poignant, because if she had gone, then it would have never brought back the fact that she's back into reality. What does she do with these new? Because she got the message, I was always home, and these were always my family. And so you get to see her kind of now take this different path versus we would have all thought she was high. Has she come home and started seeing color? Huh? Poppy fields were a little bit, strong.
Right.
Her and the lion.
Yeah. There was another apparently another song or another chapter in the story that they ended up cutting out, and that was at the end when she ends up, I believe, marrying, is it Hal or Hank, the one that played the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what, I don't think we want to go there.
Yeah.
But remember when she said she would miss him the most over in Oz when she was leaving? So there's always usually they throw a monkey wrench in because now we throw it in with sex and gratuitous scenes of this or that. But then it would have been romance. But they didn't put it in, and I found that to be very fascinating. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You brought that up. I totally forgot about that.
The
Yeah.
the key is that, and I remember saying this to, I don't remember who it was now. Maybe it was you, Adrian, but somebody said, no, it was, sorry, it was Thayer Hutchinson, and she does art. She does paints. And she said that, painting is very different every time that you do it or that you look at it. It's a different painting. And I said, that's what literature is. It's exactly the same thing. And I believe film as well. It's different because you're different. You know more, or you know less. You know, you're an older, or you're in a different situation, or you're watching it from a different view. That kind of thing.
Your mood. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
your mood when you watch that particular scene. There's a book series I have read 1,001 times.
Okay.
And I always go back to it because depending on my mood, whatever I go through at that time, I pick up different nuances.
Yep. It happens to me when I teach a book in my literature class. Particularly, it happens to me with F. Scott Fitzgerald.
I love that.
Yeah, because
Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby. There's a part in there where there's a fellow that takes Gatsby upstairs to his apartment, and they're in an elevator, and apparently the man is fondling the elevator the elevator shift, and then next thing you know, he's in bed naked, and
Floyd would have a field day with that one.
And so, yes, so when you're doing literary criticism, you can do a very good gay criticism for that, when you're figuring that out. And I never even recognized that when I read that the first time. And of course, now we're having everybody complaining that everybody's doing critical race theory, which is BS, maybe in college.
Right.
But
depending on what your major is.
That's right.
College you go to.
That's right. Yep.
Andrea, it's not so much the Black versus white perspective and feminist perspective, because I read a book about this.
All right.
It's literally just, because they're almost in essence the same exact story. It would be if the stories varied more, then you could say different perspective. It literally is just like, say this, I don't know how to say it. A version that would attract more women, a version that's going to attract more kids, which would be the Wizard of Oz, and adults who were, what's the phrase? Whatever. And then literally was just like, hey, the Wizard of Oz was popular. Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, which by the way, there's an interview, I'm pretty sure it's on the YouTube, where Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, so that they're on set. This is cool. Talking about their thoughts, and is it a Black? And they're like, no, we really just, because their whole reason of wanting to do it wasn't even so much of this is from a Black perspective. It was just like, we love the Wizard of Oz.
We just love it. Yeah.
This was a story that we grew up with. This was so much fun.
Sure.
So it wasn't so much perspective, because it would have more nuanced story, I think.
Yep. So Anna, a lot of people would say, my film students have said this to me, and I'm sure that perhaps you ladies have felt this way at times. Why are you doing this? Why are you digging this out? Now I'll never look at film the same way again. I won't enjoy it as much. But you know what? I love that. And I'd say you're going to forget every detail of what this is. But yes, there are a lot of people that don't like to dig out literature or dig out film for that very reason. They just want it to be what they want it to be. But there are different perspectives, and no one's is right or no one's is really wrong, as long as you got the evidence there.
And I know for me, going to school and learning how to write scripts and learning that it was a language, and that there's you have to have 1 page for every minute. So every movie has a 120-page script.
Okay, give or take.
Yeah, you might be 1 or 2 more, and if it is, it's just because it's been in a rewrite and some actor or makeup person or cameraman needed something added.
Yeah.
I hate to pee on your theory, not necessarily, because I have worked on film sets that had way more or way less than 120 pages, And what made me think of this was one of my favorite movies of all times is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, mine too. Oh my God, yes.
I love.
That's I watch it every year on Thanksgiving.
I do too, because it helps bring in the season, right? Yes. Okay. So that.
Yes, and I love John Candy and Steve Martin.
Yes.
I just love them.
And I love the old lady.
Which one?
Oh,
the
yes.
actress that plays the old lady in them.
Yep.
The one that they're trying to get rid of off the plane and the train and the automobile.
The old lady?
Yeah.
Which old lady are you talking about? Why am I not thinking of an old lady?
Maybe I've got the wrong movie.
Maybe you do. Yeah, it's two guys.
And
Steve Martin.
into the Danny DeVito.
Oh, you're thinking of Mama. Throw Mama from
the train.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that script, John Hughes wrote a 247-page script that they shot the entire script. And Steve Martin almost turned the movie down because he's like, this script is so long. This is going to be a 4-hour movie.
I've got goosebumps all over me because
they
would have failed you.
They shot almost the
I went to school.
There is literally like, and then even cutting it down, there are scenes in that movie that we like, they went to a strip club.
Really? Yeah. I'd love to see that. Yeah.
After the car burned down, they had actually 2 cars that they destroyed. That's how long. I was like,
okay, yeah,
really. That's the average, but and that's what made me. I was like 247-page script.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say that most writers' rooms won't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you also know all the words? Like I'll say stuff like, what are you doing standing there like a slab of meat with mittens on?
Yeah, I do. It's sad.
And Gus, he's proud of his town, you know.
Where are we going? Where is he taking us?
He wants to show you his town. It's 3:00 in the morning. I know. Wow. That's great.
I was thinking of one more quote, but I'll stop. Okay.
I'm so thrilled because my kids and I will say it to each other. That and Christmas Vacation, we say to each other all the time, and Office Space. Those 3 movies.
My other one is, oh my gosh. I was going to say Money Pit. Yes, that's one of my favorites too. But my other holiday one is Trading Places.
I don't know that I've seen that.
Oh my!
Oh, really? Okay.
God.
That's
with Eddie Murphy. Is that with Eddie Murphy?
And Aykroyd. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's another one from beginning to end. So I'll start with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and then I'll go to Trading Places, and then I'll go How to Grinch Stole Christmas. Like I have this whole.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I love John Hughes. He's probably one of my favorite directors. Yeah, that's right.
Andre, I think they do. And
I do too.
Speak through writers.
Because isn't everything channeled in a way? Yeah. I mean, really.
They do.
Yeah.
Just like they speak through us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like when you're doing a piece of art, when you're doing writing a story, whatever it is, it's almost as though spirit is channeling through. You know, it isn't just your work. It's coming from a higher place. Yeah.
And Marie, that was one of Jamie Lee's first movies, which is why she had to get full frontal naked. And you notice, I don't think she's ever done it in another movie since.
Okay.
And her daddy
did
in that.
Marie, this is my husband's favorite movie.
It's
so
Wonderful Life. I'm going to be watching that next week with my aunt because that's her thing.
Perfect.
She makes all of us sit and watch it with her. And that's Katie. That's another one. I'm like, I cannot tell you if I've seen that movie all the way
as
through.
far as the bridge where he's talking to the angel on the bridge,
and
that something about that conversation is so soothing. I'm gone. I'm out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then I wake up at the end when you hear the bell. It's like he got his wings.
Oh God!
Halloween was her first, but I think this was her. Was it? I know this was big. It was big for her because that was with her being with A-list actors. So it was a big deal for her for that movie.
Sure.
I remember.
Sure. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this. I know I did. I just feel like I need something like this, and I would love to do this again, ladies. And Joanna just said she lost her electricity in Pennsylvania. That's why she wasn't here. She missed having it.
Okay.
But I'm going to let you guys pick the movie next time, and you can email me with some ideas, and we'll go ahead.
Where do we even begin?
I know.
Next one, can we just do a person like Orson Welles?
Sure, you can.
Yes.
We have to talk about my crush on Orson Welles.
Oh, Orson.
Not him as the person, his voice.
I get you.
I like him as the movie maker.
Okay.
Because as a producer and a director, visionary, I got goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Sorry, that time was an angel touching me. When an angel touched me, it goes zoom, right down my backbone, right where my wings would be coming out.
Yeah. No, whatever you want, just we'll put a list together, and the same with you in the chat. If you have something you want to suggest that we talk about, and that we, because I really love having your input as well.
Yes.
Then let me know. And Marie Sutton said she looked up the author of The Wizard of Oz, L. Frank Baum. His mother-in-law was Matilda Joslyn Gage, a suffragettist noted for women's rights that Christianity had against women. So that between that and his wife was in the Theosophy, you said. Yeah,
Yes.
We have something totally different here.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That, as a matter of fact, I believe what I heard today was that he met his wife through his mother. Because they were both involved in the suffrage movement.
And there's a lot of stories. He wrote didn't he write about Oz? He wrote 10.
Several sequels.
People. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Anyway,
there's one that's really scary looking. It's like this dude with a jack-o'-lantern head, but the scarecrow.
I saw pictures of
really
that one.
evil.
Yes.
So I'm going,
yes.
I think I want to read that. Maybe
It's the original Halloween.
Yeah, really.
Thanks, ladies.
Without the horse.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you for having us, Allie. This was fantastic.
Yes, it's fun. And we'll. I know the holidays are coming. It's hard to get together a lot, but maybe a couple of times a month or something, we can do this. This would be fun. Yeah.
This makes it more fun to be, because I have a tendency to not watch a lot of movies anymore because
so now you'll have to watch them.
I fall into that. This believable is the critique crap.
I'm the worst person to watch movies with for the same reason.
And if I do, it's an old movie and it's really corny, and I can say, "Isn't this a lovely corny movie?"
Yeah.
And I don't go there.
I love film noir. I love film noir as well. Have you ever watched film noir?
Yes, I love film noir.
So much fun. Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, Marie, if you come up with a Hallmark movie that you love, you let us know. We can always have a Hallmark moment.
I will not be on that thread. I don't know why I cannot. They grate the inner flap of my soul.
It reminds me, I guess, of romance novels, maybe the ones that are cheap that we throw away.
Harlequin.
I like the tawdry romance novels.
Oh, okay.
I can't stand how it is something about.
Just
talk
bugs
about
you.
it after the live stream. I cannot do Hallmark movies.
Oh, okay.
They remind me of go buy a card. That's all I think of.
I would love to go through the Criterion collection since you don't really know about it as well. Not every one of them, but there's some that are really wonderful. So that might be something to think about for maybe the spring or something. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming by.
Bye,
We appreciate
everybody.
you.